Hello guys, I do hope you are well. Today our first story from the user Aioli, and it is called, I think my best friend's brother and I are falling for each other and I do not know when to tell her, or if I should even be starting something with him. Please help. Story 1. Okay, so I know the best friend's brother thing is a cliche, but fuck, I have fallen into the trap. I am 20F, and I have my best friend Sarah, 20F, since we were about 4 now, and we've spent almost every waking moment of our lives together. We do absolutely everything together, like the depth of our friendship is truly insane, and we're like family. Now, I've been into her brother Nathan, 21M, for about a year and a half now. I've known him for as long as I've known Sarah, since Sarah and I's families are also relatively close, and Nathan was pretty good friends with my brother. Now, Nathan and I never really interacted with each other, or had any sort of relationship with each other until a year and a half ago, which was the day I developed a little crush. It was at a party, and it was the first time I realized he was actually really good looking, and we actually got to talk that night too, and I sort of had this realization, like, damn, we actually got along. Now, that same night I had that realization, I did share it with Sarah and tell her I had this little crush developing, and she told me she doesn't think he would ever be interested in me, not in a nasty way at all, just an, I know my brother and he'd find it weird kind of way. After this, we started talking to each other more when I would come over to hang out with Sarah. But any time he did something that I would normally take as flirting, I just brushed it off and said I was being delusional, since Sarah knows her brother better than I do. Over the span of this year and a half, I would always make jokes to Sarah like, imagine I married your brother, and she would always say she wouldn't care. But I felt as though she would say this because she didn't think we'd ever get together. Then one night, Sarah, another friend, and myself were coming home from a night out that ended early because Sarah wasn't feeling well. So in the Uber ride to Sarah's house, I called Nathan to tell him to come help her get inside, since my other friend and I were not planning on going inside the house anyways. I assumed Nathan didn't have my number before this night, since he had asked who it was when I called him. Anyways, Nathan ends up dropping my other friend, and I back to my place, and about an hour later, Nathan messages me. We end up talking to about 5 a.m., and in this conversation we were flirting and ended up admitting we found each other attractive, and that we'd talk and see how we feel about each other romantically. This happened around 2 weeks ago, and we've been talking fairly frequently since. I am yet to hang out with him alone, but if I'm at Sarah's house, he will usually come and hang out with us and banter with me. Now, I saw him at Sarah's house a few nights ago, and I could tell he was starting to grow actual feelings towards me, as was I. You know, when you can just tell the energy is different, and even the way he would talk and communicate with me in person and on messages, it feels like we're falling deeper and deeper. Nathan and I did say we would keep it a secret from Sarah for a bit, but haven't spoken much about it since. Now, as I start to grow more and more feelings for him, the guilt of not telling Sarah is also growing. The thing is, nothing has actually happened with us yet. We haven't kissed or been any kind of physically intimate. We haven't properly hung out with just us two. Like, there's moments at Sarah's house where it's like that. But we haven't, like, gone out. Which is why I'm hesitant to tell Sarah, because I don't want her to think it's bigger than it actually is. I thought maybe I would wait until we've hung out properly and figure out what we were before I opened up the discussion with her. But I'm scared she might be upset that I hid it. I'm also scared to even start up something with Nathan, since I've always maintained the fact that Sarah would be in my life forever, which means naturally Nathan would be too, especially since our families are friends, and if something bad was to happen between us, then it might ruin the entire dynamic. So now I've come to Reddit to ask what the fuck I should do about this. And when you guys think would be a good time to tell her, not only that, but do I even take the risk of starting something with him when there's so much I could fuck up by doing so? If it works, it would be almost perfect, and I haven't felt like this about anyone in a really, really long time. But if it falls apart, I worry I might lose a relationship with my closest friend and her family, who are all so dear to me. So what do I do? Story 1. Comment. Why did you decide that you couldn't date your best friend's brother? And why do you need to keep this information secret from your friend? If Nathan suggested keeping your relationship a secret, it means he doesn't take you seriously and is embarrassed by the relationship. As for Sarah, she will be upset with you anyway because you didn't tell her the truth. Story 1. Update: I've been thinking a lot about my relationship with Nathan. He really doesn't want to publicize our relationship, not to his friends or even his sister. I don't think I should continue a relationship that starts with dishonesty and secrecy. Second story from the user Relstian Ships, and it is called Am I 25F wrong for getting mad at my BF 26M because of a key? Story 2. I have a small key for my locker where I keep my job uniform. Before going to work, I always check that I've got everything with me. On Thursday afternoon, I realized I had everything except the key. The night before, I was at my boyfriend's place, and I thought that the key must have fallen from my bag at his place, and I didn't realize it. Anyway, when I went to work, I had to ask for a master key, and it was a pretty embarrassing situation for me, but my boss told me not to worry because this happens all the time. I later texted my BF and asked him if he could find the key for me because this was urgent. He said sure, he would do it tomorrow. No problem. The next day came and he got home from work. I reminded him 3 times so that he wouldn't forget. After a while, he texted me saying, I'll be gaming on my computer, and I thought, and what about the key? But said nothing. But at that moment when my boyfriend told me that he was going to game, I was furious because I knew that when he starts playing, he goes on for many hours straight without stopping. I was also angry because I needed the original key ASAP so that I could give back the master key to my boss and wouldn't risk losing my job. But my BF seemed not to understand that this was a top priority. Anyway, I left my BF on read for a couple of hours because I was at work. Then I later texted him asking, Are you still gaming? And he said yes. I was even angrier because it meant that he didn't even get up to look for the key. I left him on read and heard nothing from him during that night. Today was supposed to be a special day for us because we were supposed to celebrate our 2nd anniversary together. But I woke up still angry from yesterday and still didn't hear anything from him. He later on texted me good morning and said happy anniversary as if nothing happened. I immediately snapped and told him that I was angry at him because he didn't do what he said he would do. Keep in mind that he is someone who doesn't accept his wrongdoings and usually puts the blame on me. He even had the audacity to tell me, But you should have told this earlier. I did, even a few times, but you didn't listen. I admit that losing the key is my fault, and it is my responsibility to keep it in a place where I know it'll always be. Now we are angry at each other. I am mad at him because he didn't bother to find the key like he said he would. The last thing he said was, I will find the key if you come here to get it. He's mad at me because I ruined our supposed-to-be special 2nd anniversary. So now my question here is, do you think that I'm angry just because of a simple, stupid thing? And what do I do? Thanks for reading. Story 2. Comment 1 from user Terryonif. I 100% understand the frustration of losing your key. You have no idea if you actually lost it at his house and are flipping out under the presumption that it's there. He just hasn't looked. Go to his place and get your own key. And if you find it, they'll be mad that he didn't do what he said you asked. Also, you need to communicate better. After a while, he texted me saying, I'll be gaming on my computer. And I thought, and what about the key? But said nothing. You could have said, before you do, can you look for my key, please? But you remained silent. I understand the key is important to you, but it's just something you said to him, and he may have other things going on and it slipped his mind. Yes, he's 100% in the wrong for saying he was going to look, but not looking, or not looking good enough to find something that may or may not be there. Yes, he should be able to remember something you asked him a few times to do. Yes, he shouldn't be gaming for hours on end when he has something to do. You both need to communicate better, especially about the importance of something and following through when you say you're going to do something. I'd also like to know in that initial text where you said it was urgent, how you relayed that urgency, because from the rest of what you wrote, it seems it may have come off way more passive than you think, which would have resulted in this going on the to-do list versus top priority when getting home. Story 2. Comment 2 from user Suit Riot. Your boss says it's not a big deal and it happens all the time. If this was a genuinely urgent situation where your job was on the line, I see no reason you wouldn't go to his place yourself. You'd have to go over to pick it up anyway, right? Your boyfriend was wrong for saying he would do something and proceeding to not do it. You are wrong for treating this matter as an urgent priority for your boyfriend, but not important enough to show up yourself. Not to mention you don't even know for sure if the key is at his place. By any chance, do you just want a reason to leave him and not feel bad about it? You don't even sound like you like this guy. Story 2. Update. Thank you for your comments. I still haven't found the key, neither at my place nor at my boyfriend's place. I made a duplicate of the main key, and my boyfriend and I had an open conversation, listened to each other, and reconciled. Thank you so much.